Hello and welcome to the FPL fan show. So, Nacho, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, mate. Obviously, it's been a bit of a strange week with all the football news, but it's nice to have a bit of normality, of course, in your company, which is always great, mate. So, how are you? You
Yeah, I'm
doing
doing
well?
good. I'm doing good. I could be doing better on my fantasy team because not owning Trent Alexander-Arnold at the moment is really hurting. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll come on to that in a bit. Obviously, Leicester are playing tonight. How's your game week been so far? You've had an okay one.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I think we knew when we were chatting recently about obviously the players who we wanted to own. Trent was top of the list, but we just couldn't make a team that was actually justifying having him in our team. So obviously he kicked us in the butt a little bit, but otherwise it has been an okay game week. Yeah, how about yourself?
Similar. I'm doing kind of average, I'd say. I think I'm on like 55, 56. But yeah,
Okay.
not owning. I mean, yeah, Salah's not doing great. Not owning Trent is really kind of hurting, and Fernandez not delivering as well. So we'll come on to
Yeah.
him as well. Let's kind of go into the hot topics for the week. Um, let's talk about Man United assets first. So Bruno Fernandez, what are your thoughts on him?
Oh man, yeah, Fernandez. Yeah, so I had a bit of a decision. I put a poll out prior to game week 32, and I kind of said, who is the best Man United asset to bring in? Is it Fernandez, Rashford, or Greenwood? And we know which one I went for, of course. Of course, it was Fernandez. And I think it's the typical scenario, really, where it was the ownership that reeled me in, really. And of course, mini leagues kind of played a little bit of a factor in it as well. But when we looked at the underlying data, me and you spoke about this previously. Greenwood won hands down with the underlying stats of recent game weeks, and yeah, I think it was the ownership which really kind of made me sway towards Fernandez. But as an asset, he's not delivering right now, is he? Really? I think he's been pretty underwhelming. I'm just trying to get up his recent returns, but I can't remember a
Hmm.
double-digit haul from him in a while. We've had a 2.2, 2.5, point in the last four. Like, really not looking good for him right now.
Yeah, and I think it's something we definitely need to dive deeper into and talk about why it is and what do we do with him because he is so highly owned and a lot of us do own him. Um, yeah, I mean the Bruno thing. If you were doing it this week, I expect you may have gone Greenwood, but it's tricky with Fernandez because he is a consistent player, and we do know that with Pogba being in the side, it has affected his position a little bit.
Mm.
Stats wise, Fernandez is still creating a lot. He's still right up there. And he's shooting a bit as well. His shooting
Hmm.
stats haven't dropped off a cliff. But I think the issue here is that most of his shots come outside the box. So the likelihood of him scoring is not that high. And when you have a player like Mason Greenwood, who is half the price, and he's playing further ahead. His stats for shots in the box are way higher than Fernandez's. So I think that's what's really making us thinking about it now. And when you couple that with like what you said, Bruno's blanked a lot, you know? And I think an
Mm.
important point here is I don't really see myself captaining Fernandez pretty much for the rest of the season. I mean, it depends what happens with Kane, but it would likely be on Salah or a Tottenham asset. So I think that's something to think about as well. I mean, yeah, but do you want to give some more of your thoughts on Bruno?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, really. I think when we spoke about in previous game weeks about how there's a lot of these top teams where we have the absolute premium, and then we have an asset which is performing just as well, if not better, at half the price. I'm looking at De Bruyne and Gundogan. I'm looking at obviously Salah, Jota, and this scenario has kind of arisen where we have Fernandez and then Greenwood, who is just obviously not half the price, but pretty close. And yeah, I think right now, if I was in a position where I was picking one, I would go Greenwood. As you mentioned, I think the captaincy is an excellent point. I think you are not going to be captaining Fernandez if you own Salah or Kane, probably for the rest of the season, really, maybe Fulham at home. So I really do think that if you have an asset like Fernandez, you really need to be looking at him as a captaincy option as well. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement that if you don't own either and you're looking at getting one in, I think Greenwood wins this now, this debate, because his minutes are looking solid. I think he has that position. And the important thing is, whereas before last season, he was performing so well, but really overperforming, his stats are looking really consistent and solid when he does start. So I really like him as an
Mm.
asset. For those managers who currently own Fernandez, I'm really not a big fan of the sideways move, especially when you have a player like Fernandez, who, of course, is so dominant when it comes to penalties and set pieces. But I think if you're looking for a bit of a differential in your mini leagues, I would be very tempted to move over to Greenwood, and then you can use that money in the bank to upgrade other assets in your team. But I think it's a bit squad dependent on that one. I wouldn't jump to the sideways move right now. I think it's a luxury move.
It's actually, I'll talk about it later on when we come to my team, but it's something I've thought about as well. And I do think, I mean, Mason Greenwood, we got the same last season. At the latter part of the season, he was fantastic. And now, like you say, it's no fluke. The stats are supporting that Greenwood is a good option. So like you said, I think when things are so tight with mini leagues, it is a good time to go for a player like Mason Greenwood.
Yes.
It is worth saying, we've got big moment. Victor, the FPL fan show's number one fan, is back. So he's had some knee problems. He said his ACL is gone, but he's in recovery, jumping like a rabbit. He's back. And thank you for the super chat. Victor, we wish you well. We're glad to have you back. Everyone was asking where you are. But glad to hear you're okay. Get recovering, enjoy the football, relax, and good to have you along.
And Victor's mentioned about my haircut. Victor, I can only apologise, mate. It was getting so long. The mullet was coming down to here. I haven't actually been able to keep it either, which is the most disappointing part. But yeah, I'll try and grow out next time just for you, mate.
Well, Victor's just had another super chat, which is amazing. So perhaps you could put that, towards getting a better haircut, Nacho, because we all think that, that should be a thing.
Let's not talk about hair, buddy.
Oh, that's it. He started early. It's war.
We just got Zaki just thrown in there. He likes your haircut.
Thanks, Zaki. Thanks, Zaki. You can stay. You're unblocked from last time now. But yeah, going back to United. I mean, Zaki actually mentions a good point that United might have a double in 35. So if they do have a double in 35, I think it won't be a case of do we do Bruno Fernandez to Greenwood? It will be do we double up? Because they are, along with Shaw, the best Man United assets right now, aren't they? I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's a topic we'll probably come on to a bit more in this stream about the game week 35 potential double. And yeah, it is right now, obviously, the king of spreadsheets, Ben Crellin. For those who don't follow him, be sure you do, because he is so important when these sort of game weeks happen. But he's currently saying they might have Villa and then Leicester at home in that game week 35. So as you mentioned, maybe people are going to go for the double up strategy, possibly. Just be careful with the possible blank game week 36. But yeah, I think a double up with Fernandez and Greenwood isn't a bad move at all. It covers you with the ownership of Fernandez. And then, of course, you've got the differential of Greenwood. So, yeah, I don't mind the double up at all. But for the next two fixtures, I will be a bit wary with Leeds away and Liverpool at home.
I think you're right. Well, let's come on to Liverpool, because I think right now they are perhaps the team to target. I think with the fixtures that they have, they've got great fixtures to the end of the season, fighting for Europe. And they've got assets which are of real use to fantasy managers right now. We spoke about him at the start of the show. Now, I don't own Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't think you do either, do you?
No.
He is really worrying me, not owning me, because the stats are just flying off the charts for him. I think he has the highest chance creation of any outfield player, I think, in the game right now, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. You couple that with if they get a clean sheet or two. I mean, the thing that scares me the most about him, I think he has 3 bonus points in 3 out of the last 4 games. Even when they're conceding, he's getting the bonus points, and it's killing me. Yeah. So I say to you, if you don't own Trent Alexander-Arnold, and we don't, what are your thoughts? Do we rip up our team to get him? What's the move here?
Like I said this before at the start of the stream, we could have predicted this hands down. Like I said, when we were all building our wildcard teams ahead of the double game week, we all knew that we wanted Trent Alexander-Arnold. However, it was more of a case of is his form suggesting he's worth that value? And at the time, definitely not. Like prior to obviously when we all jumped the decision about him, there was no way he was justifying what he was doing. It's almost like he watched our stream, thought, I'm gonna turn on the heat for you FPL managers now, because recently his stats have been absolutely ridiculous. For those who went with Phillips, me being one of them, I kind of just sat here right now wishing what we should have done. But if I had went back and done the same move, I still would have done the same thing, because it's more of a collective move and what the impact would have been on the rest of your team. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, you could have had Trent, but then you might have not been able to have Son, you might not have been able to have Kane. So you need to view it more as a collective view rather than just like, why didn't I get Trent? Because he's such an expensive asset. But for sure. Those managers don't have Trent and have the opportunity to bring him in. I'm just looking at the fixtures right now. We've got Newcastle, Man United, Southampton, West Brom, Burnley, Crystal Palace. Like, I'm looking at that right now, and even though Liverpool haven't necessarily been tight in the defence, I'm seeing 3 clean sheets there. Come on, teams like Newcastle and Crystal Palace, Burnley, like teams that really don't score goals. I think it's a real good opportunity for managers to definitely be bringing in Trent.
Yeah, I think if you don't own him and you can bring him in, definitely bring him in. I have to admit, I was a little bit wrong because I said myself, I was thinking, he looks good, but do we? I didn't think he'd do as well as what he's doing right now. So I hold my hands up and say, I got that one wrong. He was definitely watching the show. He saw Prince, slagging him off. He thought, right, that's it, he's done. So fair enough, Trent. Prove me wrong there. All right, well, moving on to other Liverpool assets. What are we thinking about Diego Jota at the moment?
Oh man, like talk about the opposite of Trent. We got Trent who completely didn't justify his value and now is absolutely on fire, and then we got Jota who we explicitly said no manager can go without Jota, and since that moment he's had a 2 and a 3-pointer. So he's really kind of made us look like mugs a little bit, hasn't he, mate? But look, I think it's a real tricky one right now with Jota. I think if you own, you don't sell. I think the potential's still there for him. They're out of the Champions League. They only have really the league to be competing with now. And I think really we're in a situation where if you own, you keep. His value is still excellent. I know that he hasn't necessarily been performing over the last 2 fixtures, but you only have to look at Newcastle at home. You're going to kick yourself if you sell him prior to that fixture. So I think if you own, you stick on him, really. I wouldn't necessarily be bringing him in. Unless you really want to for this fixture.
We've got another super chat from the man, the legend, Victor, our hero. He said he's a happy owner of TEA, Salah, Jota, Son, Kane, Lingard, Kane, Vardy, Ian, Nacho. But when are we talking Luca Dean? Any excuse. I mean, I will come on to Everton assets properly later. Don't you worry about it. But they do have a double coming up, so he might not be the worst option. And Calvert-Lewin's back, so that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, Victor. Very kind.
Yeah, very kind, Victor.
Nacho looks, he's like, I'm going to have to take another Everton session from him. Can't wait. I was on the Scoutcast this week, and I just spoke Everton for the whole time. Fantastic. And then even Joe said they were rubbish. So everyone was loving that Nacho. Anyway, right, what team should we talk about next, Nacho? Go on, I'll let you pick. Who do you want to talk about?
Well, you might as well get your Everton in, mightn't you, mate? Because the guys in the chat are probably thinking, let's let Prince talk about Everton. But deep down, we all just want you to have 2 seconds and then move on. So we're going to give you a 1 minute timer here.
To be fair, your missus said you lasted 2 seconds as well. So maybe I should do the same,
Hey, they've got kids on this, possibly.
Yeah, I don't think so somehow.
Realistically, Everton, let's talk about them briefly, because of course they are one of the teams that might be doubling in game week 35. So we have potentially a West Ham and a Villa double up potentially. Are there assets that we should be considering?
It is tricky with Everton because taking my kind of biased hat off, they are so unpredictable. But what I will say is obviously we know that they're going to have a double. I think their fixtures are all right, and actually we know that when Everton have hard fixtures, they always do better. They should have won in that Tottenham game. I thought it was the best they probably played nearly all season against Spurs, and if it wasn't for individual silly mistakes, they would have won that game. I think a couple of players that I would say to people to go for, I think James Rodriguez really needs considering.
You love this man.
But
love him.
There's a reason for it now, and I think he looks so good. And I think the key here is that Everton have a chance of getting Europe. Now, usually with James Rodriguez, he tends to play one game and then miss one. I just don't think they're going to rest him that often because he is so key to that side. He creates so much. I think he's a good option. I think if you're looking for like a little differential, I don't mind Sigurdsson. I think Sigurdsson's been fantastic recently. Took his goal really well at the weekend. I think someone asked me I think Ben Crellin asked me today whether I thought Sigurdsson would start most of the games. And I think it's about 80%. I think he'll play 5 out of 6 games. He won't start every game, but right now he's in form. He's linking well with Rodriguez, and we do have quite a lot of injuries. So I think he's going to start the next 3 or 4. So it's not a bad option.
Okay.
And it's worth saying Calvert-Lewin is back. So that is great for Everton, good for Calvert-Lewin, and very good for Luca Dean, because we know Luca Dean's delivery is fantastic. And most of the goals come from Luca Dean to Calvert-Lewin. Go on, Nacho. You got a little smile. What do you want to say? Let's get it out. Come on.
No, nothing. I was not going to say anything. I think you've actually had a good, unbiased analysis
thanks,
of
mate.
Everton.
Cheers.
Really. It must be obviously disappointing for you with this Super League talk. Obviously,
We should talk about the Super League, actually.
Well, because you must be absolutely devastated because you must have been licking your lips at the possibility of winning a trophy, and now that's just been completely taken away from you. Hasn't it?
That's low. I mean, that is low, Nacho. You wait. I'm bringing your girlfriend back into this later. Don't you worry. Well, I thought you were going to start supporting Everton as soon as Chelsea went off for all the greedy money. So
yeah, what was going on with the Twitter stuff? Jesus Christ! Everybody was telling me I should be swinging over to the Everton
everyone
team.
knows you're a glory hunter. I mean, you sound like the Wurzels. I mean, what guy who sounds like the Wurzels supports Chelsea in London? I mean, it's just ridiculous, you know.
Oh God, yeah, I can't really back that up. Yeah.
No, let's talk the Super League, because I think people are interested in it. We're interested in it. I have to say, I mean, let's play devil's advocate here. I think the idea of these teams playing the best teams in Europe week in, week out is not a bad idea, right? That's the only good thing I can say. The problem is, you cannot have a competition where 12 to 15 teams stay in it every single year and there's no relegation. That is shocking. There is no competition. Imagine that. You finish bottom. Oh, we're in it again. Oh, what a shame. Oh, the fans are crying because nothing's going to happen. It's just stupid. And it's not America. And people say, oh, well, they do that in NFL. Well, yeah. I mean, I like NFL, but there's a reason it's not a global sport, because it's not that exciting. People love the Premier League because it's the most competitive league in the world. Any team at the bottom can beat your crappy team, Chelsea. Anyone can beat anyone on any day. Leeds can come up from the Championship and, play Liverpool, play really well. People love that. Don't take it away. And the money thing is just greed. It's just pure greed. It's ridiculous. So,
yeah, there's no surprise that the teams that have been clinging on for the Super League, while teams have been dropping out, are those that are in major debt. They're teams that need the money and the opportunity of never getting relegated and continuing with outrageous broadcasting deals and so on and so on. Just kind of makes it so clear that the teams that are desperate for money is the only reason why this league was created. And thankfully the Chelsea fans saved the day.
No, they
we all
didn't.
should be thanking Chelsea fans. To be honest with you, I think that's all we have to do right now is thank us Chelsea fans for standing up for the greedy people.
Yeah. I mean, Nuclear Atom makes a fair point. He says if the big teams play each other every week, then it won't be special anymore. And you're right, it wouldn't be special anymore. So I think that's one of the good points about the Champions League. And I think the whole idea of these teams would play in this league and then be able to come back and play in the Premier League is absolute ridiculous, because they're going to be getting about 350 million each more than all these other clubs. They'll put out the B teams, and unfortunately they would still be all the lower clubs. And imagine, Everton not playing Liverpool ever again. Imagine all those local, it would be ridiculous. So I don't understand how these owners have sat there and thought, oh yeah, this is a good idea. We think people will like this. It's shocking. It's stupidity, to be honest.
I totally agree. Thank God.
People in the chat, let us know what you think. I think it's really telling that the clubs that really want to be in it, Real Madrid, Barcelona, are in absolute millions of debt. Doesn't that tell you something? Perez, the Madrid owner, is saying, oh, we need it to save football. I don't think so, mate. I think you're just trying to save yourself and all the debt you're in. So, yeah.
No, I can't agree more. I'm just thankfully for FPL as well, guys. For
Exactly.
FPL, what could have been? We could have had a bloody next season 100 million, and the top prize player is bloody Calvert-Lewin. This would have been Prince's dream.
Yeah,
absolute dream. So Thank God that day.
All right, mate. Yeah, that's all well and good. But like, what Chelsea asset we're going to pick when he's rotated them every bloody week, including the goalkeeper? Yeah. Let's come on to that. Right. So joking aside, yeah, what are your thoughts about Mendy? Because a lot of us own Mendy and Forster, and that has not gone well, has it? So cheers, Nacho, by the way, for telling everyone Mendy's a great pick. Oh yeah, value is in Chelsea defence. I'd double up. Well, you've done us one there, haven't you, you idiot?
And as Bulaquia got dropped, which I was claiming was the safest pick of all of them. So yeah, cheers, Tuchel. I was starting to like you, but no, I still think Mendy's number one, but of course this rotation is clearly not a good thing for us going forward because we really don't know. Obviously, we have so much importance on this Real Madrid, and I think it's a fixture in the Champions League which all Chelsea fans are going into thinking this is it. We've got the draw. I think we can take Real Madrid. So it's going to be interesting to see who he views as a top keeper and whether he thinks, oh, okay, I'm just going to rotate my goalkeepers, have a Champions League goalkeeper. I really don't know what he's going right now, and it was a bit of a surprise. And then kicking in the teeth, Forster gets dropped. Probably going to be dropped now for the rest of the season. I'm not too sure, but look, I think if you own Mendy, I understand if you want to come off him. I think the fixtures, to be fair, do swing for Chelsea anyway. We were discussing it prior to it. I think Chelsea, West Ham away, obviously, and then Fulham at home. But then potential double is going to be City and Arsenal, not necessarily very good. Then Leicester, then Villa. So we were talking about possibly moving away from the double Chelsea defence anyway. So whereas before it might have been Rudiger, it might be wise to possibly come away from Mendy. So I understand managers are probably thinking, I hate making transfers for goalkeepers, and I totally agree. But I think we just need to get a bit more information in the press conferences just to see if there's any information we can take out to understand whether Kepa is going to be keeping the shirt. Otherwise, for those who are probably thinking, oh, who should I bring in? Who should I bring in? I think there's a few good assets out there. I think Wolves, Patricio, I really do think that they are a decent option over the coming three fixtures. I think Bolly, Saiss and Cody in the back three just makes them such a stronger team. And I think that's going to be a few clean sheets picking up along the way. But then otherwise, I don't mind Meslier in Leeds.
That's my pick.
I think at the back end of the season, they got really good fixtures. I think you want a goalkeeper that makes saves. You're not going to be paying premium for the top keeper. So I like Meslier for the back end of the season as well.
Yeah, I mean, just it's my understanding that I believe Mendy is the number one keeper. So if we were hedging our bets, saying to everyone now, we think he starts this next game. So I think you're right. I think we have to see what happens, and then kind of, if we hear anything in the conferences, we go from there. What are you smiling about?
No, I was just saying that's your words. I'm not going to jump in on that one because I've been burnt too often.
Got to put your neck on the line, Nacho. But yeah, I think in terms of replacements, I think you've picked two really good ones, actually. I like Patricio for Wolves fixtures, and I really like Meslier. And the reason I really like Meslier is because Leeds in the last 7 or 8 games have really tightened up defensively. And I was talking on the Scoutcast with Seb in the week, who's a Leeds fan, and he was saying he has tactically changed it quite a bit. I think Dallas is playing, I think he's zonal marking, whereas the rest of them aren't, and I think that's helped. The great thing about Meslier is he makes so many saves. So even if they concede, and bear in mind they're looking a lot better defensively, he can still get points. I think in the last game he got a couple of bonus, even though they conceded. So you're going to get at least 3 or 4 points a game. I think with the good fixtures as well, I think Meslier is a really good option.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's a solid move. But yeah, I understand. I think for the Mendy move, I understand both arguments, really. If you just want to go for a keeper straight away this game week that you know is going to be playing, then I totally understand that move.
Zaki mentioning a very good point, saying that they haven't seen the puppy in a long time, actually. Can you just tell everyone how the puppy's doing, and is it alive? Have you killed it? What's going on?
Still alive somehow. I've been closer to death than her, actually. She's been eating like a queen. I've been eating the scraps on the side, really. But no, she's all good. I've been trying to tire her out before these streams, but I think she's probably still going nuts as usual. So I kind of locked myself away for an hour. So
good. I'm glad to hear. Yeah, we'll get the puppy back on the stream soon, I'm sure. Nacho, you better bring the puppy back on because people love it, all right? It's better than seeing your mug anyway, so if you do that, that'd be good. Okay, so that's the kind of Chelsea defence. Should we come on to how our teams are set up? And then we can talk through some more, and then we'll do a Q&A for everyone. And obviously, guys in the chat, if there's
Yeah.
some hot topics that you want us to cover, obviously we'll do it in the Q&A. But yeah, we're happy to go through it. Okay.
Yeah, and obviously, guys in the chat, let us know if there's any major hot topics that you think we're missing, and yeah, obviously just let us know in the chat. And of course, if you haven't already, like the video, please. I appreciate it.
Definitely. It is worth pointing out, actually. I mean, with your FPL fan favourites articles on our website, I've been doing really well. Get loads of traffic. People love seeing it, and a lot of the picks are coming off. Is there any picks that you've thought of in that article? Can you give us one? Can you give us a teaser of who you've picked this week?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I found it was quite a tricky article to write this week because of the blanks. Obviously, we haven't got no Man City, we've got no Spurs. So there's kind of a few like players out there that I think could be kind of differentials. Like, of course, we got the likes of Iheanacho and Greenwood in there as we fancy, but yeah, let's have a look. I think this is a bit of a big one. And guys, let me know in the chat if it is a bit too much of a punt, but Martinelli at Arsenal. So
that's good.
0.2% ownership. We've got 1 goal in the last 2 matches, but underlying stats wise, he's 8 shots over them 2 games and a 2.47 non-pen XG plus XA. So he's actually really doing well in terms of like not only the eye test but underlying stats. And more importantly, we've got Lacazette out with a hamstring injury. We've also got Aubameyang out with malaria. So I do think that he is going to be starting this fixture. Obviously, I'm acknowledging Arsenal, not the strongest.
What you on about? It's not the strongest. You're Nacho Monreal, mate. You played for them for about 10 years.
Oh, Christ, I forgot who it was then. Jesus Christ. Sorry, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. I'm an avid Arsenal fan. I know everything.
But no, I think that's I mean, and for everyone, go and check out FPL fan favourites article on our website. It is really good. And the stats you put to back all these players up is fantastic. I really like the Martinelli shout. I think that's a really good call. I think with Lacazette being out for a while, the Everton defence is a little bit leaky. I think it's a really good shout, that. And the stat, yeah.
I don't want, and I'm just looking a bit longer term, Newcastle away and West Brom at home. Now, I know that obviously we don't really know exactly how Arsenal are. They're such a difficult team to predict right now. They're kind of in that transition phase, but I like him as a for those managers probably who are sat there in their mini leagues and, you know, really need to catch up. I think he could be a nice differential to the back end of the season.
Okay, good shout, mate. So this is my team here. We'll go through it in just a second, but I think one big topic we haven't covered is obviously Spurs and Harry Kane. I mean, that is going to cause all kinds of issues, and I think it's at that point, you know, don't make any transfers until we hear anything. I think the problem we are going to have is we're not going to hear any news about how Kane is, because whether he's fit or not, I guarantee you they're not going to say, because they're going to be playing mind games for that cup final. And that gives us a real issue. Because a lot of us, you know, like me here, I've got Diaz on Kane. I've got no one to come on. So on Harry Kane, what's your initial thoughts? What do we do as owners of him?
Yeah, this is such a tricky one with Harry Kane, because as we know, they're going to do everything they can to get him ready for that cup final. But the worry about the cup final. So am I right in thinking the cup final is
this
weekend?
Sunday, isn't it? I think that's right.
Okay, yeah. So my one worry would be if they really do push him to play, are they then gonna? Is it going to be one of those things where they say to themselves, "Okay, we're going to risk you in the cup final because we have Sheffield United at home in the following game," or are they thinking, you know, let's just get you fit, and if you're fit, you're good for the rest of the season? Because really, this is Harry Kane. This is the guy who everybody's taking the mick out for not winning a trophy right now. So he's going to be absolutely doing everything. He'll be putting horse tranquilizers. He'll be putting cow tranquilizers. He'll be doing anything he can to play this fixture. So my one worry is Ryan Mason going to be looking at this thinking, let's just get him in. Let's just get him in for the final, and then don't worry if he aggravates anything, because it's only Sheffield United at home. And that's the big worry for me right now. Is my current thought mindset is, we're happy to roll it because we've got an amazing fixture in game week 34, but game week 34 at home to Sheffield United. But my one worry is, are they just going to blow him out for that cup final and then rest him the following game week? So I really feel for those managers that currently have 4 or 5 blank in game week players, because I think Vardy is such a tempting option right now.
Yeah, it's really,
especially with the Leicester double game week.
Yeah,
that's the big move.
Yeah, it's so tough. If I'm guessing, I would say that I think I'm going to hold Kane, because I think he'll be fit. I just think he is going to be fit, like you said. I think they are going to do everything they can to get him playing. He probably won't be 100%. He won't be 100% at all. But it's Harry Kane. He really wants to win a trophy. I hope he does for him, because he deserves it for what he's done, with Tottenham. I think he is going to play. I think you do hold him, because at this point in the season, you don't want to have to transfer him out. If he's back in 2 or 3 weeks, it's another transfer to get him back in. It's this point in the season, your transfers are so precious. I think you have to hold him. And FPL transfer tips are saying the same. The chat is saying, have to hold Kane. Those post-games, game week 23, are too tempting to ignore. And without doubt, he's going for the golden boot. Cut funnel will give a much clearer picture. But yeah, it's right. Gold boat, I think you got to hold him. I think there's other players you get rid of. Maybe, so... Yeah, Harry Kane, tricky. All right, let's talk about my team. So, this is a really difficult game week, isn't it? Because of the blanks. Let's just talk about the issues in my team. So, we spoke about Mendy. Got Forster, so that doesn't help now he's out. I think I'm just going to hope that Mendy plays. If he doesn't play this next one, then he's going to have to go after that. I believe that Phillips of Liverpool was back in training today, so that's good. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but one issue, I believe, is that Jota missed training today. So that's a real worry. I believe Jota missed training today. Wow. And any Liverpool fans or anyone who knows in the chat, just tell me if you think that's what I've heard or seen. Might be wrong, but that's what I've heard. So Jota missing training is definitely a worry. Because I have no one to come off the bench. Now... I think as well, didn't Vidra miss the last game? But I think it might have been tactical. I've got a few worries. But I've got 2 ideas of transfers currently, right? The first one is the safe move. Is what I call the safe move, right? The safe move is to take Diaz because I just think there's 2 ways of looking at this. One is he's a rotation risk, but... John Stones got sent off, so he's going to miss 1 or 2, isn't he? And I think Diaz will likely keep playing. But I'm fed up of the rotation worries, and it would be nice to have an extra player for this game week if one misses a game. I could do Diaz to Dallas, because Dallas has great fixtures for the run. It's not a good fixture this week, but I might just need a player. Great fixtures for the run-in. Leeds better defensively. We know he's playing in midfield. He's got good attacking stats. I think Dallas is a great option for the run-in. Okay, so that's the safe move. The second option is the brave, the bold, like me. It's the I need to win my mini league and take a risk move. Okay, and I've got 2 free transfers. The move would be Fernandez to Greenwood, and then Phillips up to Trent Alexander-Arnold. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult. I like it. Feels wrong, which probably should tell me something, but I like it. I like it because we know Martial is out for the season, I think. Greenwood statistically is up there, if anything, above Fernandez right now. He's shooting more in the box. That's exactly what we want from an FPL asset. He's also in form. And the big thing for me is having no Trent Alexander-Arnold, especially when you look at Liverpool's fixtures going forward, it's absolutely killing me. So it makes sense. But the other thing is, we've got doubles coming up. I should really only be using 1 transfer and planning for that. But yeah, give me your thoughts on those 2 type of moves. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like the Greenwood Trent move. I think it's mainly because you have the 2 free transfers. I think that's the important thing, is that you're not taking a minus 4-point hit, because I would say that's not right then, but you have that luxury there, and then you're rolling out the potential of obviously not having Phillips play, because you're in a situation right now where Phillips doesn't play, Jota doesn't play, no bench. You could be sat there with 9 players. So yeah, I do think that move is solid. But as you mentioned, you're not necessarily planning for the double game weeks, which I think the 2 free transfers could help you plan towards. So yeah, I do like their moves, but I think that you could go for another strategy and possibly get in an asset for the double game week. But I would probably be very tempted with what you mentioned there.
I mean, the issue is though, like you said, if I did the Fernandez to Greenwood and I did the Phillips to Alexander-Arnold move, if Jota doesn't play, or Vidra doesn't play, or any one of those other players, I've got no one coming on. And I know a lot of people would be in that position this week, but that's definitely a worry for me. So
otherwise, of course, the Diaz to Dallas move definitely kind of like solidifies your team for a bit longer term. So I think if you can ride it out without Trent, you don't get that kind of FOMO feeling. Then I think longer term that's a solid move as well. Because I'm just looking at the Leeds fixtures. Really, from game week 34 onwards, you'd probably be looking to play in it because of course his attacking potential. So I think that's going to probably set you up a little bit longer term, because Man City, we really don't know what they're going to be playing with the Champions League obviously matching that alongside. So yeah, I don't mind that Dallas move either. I think you're in a tricky
Really
boat right now, and you're a bit of a crossroads right now where I think it's going to be one of those difficult situations where you're at either short-term fix or you're looking at a bit of a longer-term move.
Yeah, it's a really good comments from people in the chat, and this is a really difficult move this game week, and I'm really unsure. I mean, Zaki was saying I think he believes Jota has a small knock and will likely miss the Newcastle game, but should be fit for United. Darsha was saying those moves are good. Darsha also saying TA becoming a borderline essential. Victor kind of agrees. 40 points last 4 games, and the fixtures are mad. I mean, in my heart, I want to do the Fernandez to Greenwood move and the Phillips to Trent move, because having Trent's not killing me. The stats are there for Greenwood and the form, and a lot of people won't sell Fernandez. It's a bit of a risk selling Fernandez, but I think I'm at that stage where I need to. But it's if Jota doesn't play, I'm down to 10 men. Is it silly? And it's really difficult. Oh, honestly, which one of those moves would you do if you were in my shoes? What would you do?
I would probably go for the. I'm just worried about your goalkeepers not playing either. I would possibly go for the Diaz move.
Would you? The safe one.
Probably the safe move, yes. But let us know in the chat if you would go for the double transfer instead, because I totally understand the double transfer move and I'm really for that. But I'm just thinking about you a bit longer term. I do just think that you possibly might benefit from having someone like Dallas in your team just going forward from the back end.
But I mean, the flip side of that is I can just do these 2 moves this week and then bring in Dallas next week for Diaz. I can still do that.
Of course, yeah. I think really, if you're feeling the FOMO for Trent, then I like that move. I still back that move.
People in the chat, which move do you think I should make? Really, really tricky one. I'm interested in hearing people's thoughts. FPL transfer tip saying Fernandez has simply been unlucky in my opinion. Denied by a great save. So don't. Yeah, I mean Fernandez is still going to be a good option. He's going to return. There's no doubt about it. It's whether I still think the value is there in Greenwood, and I think he can match him or close, and then having Trent over Phillips is obviously a massive upgrade. So yeah, tricky one. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll think about it, but Dallas a safe one, second one risky. Captaincy is currently on Salah, and I think if you own Trent, he's certainly not a bad option this week. But yeah, captaincy on Salah, I think it's a decent move. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really difficult game week. I can see a lot of benchings and people only being able to field 7 or 8 players. So it's going to be tough. So you're right. It might very well be a good time to save or keep two free transfers. Any other comments you make about my team before we move on to yours, Nacho?
No, I think otherwise, like we mentioned, the goalkeeper scenario really is going to be one of those where I think you probably have a few other fires in your team. So you probably are going to be in the situation where you kind of just hope that Mendy reclaims that number 1 spot. I think your team's a perfect example of if you didn't have any other fires, then a Mendy move might be the solid move. But yeah, I think right now, like you mentioned, you want to get Trent in. I think you should target that as opposed or the Dallas move as opposed to focusing on the goalkeeper moves, because as we know, they really are the lowest ceiling moves that you can make in terms of an FPL returns perspective.
You're right. Yeah, I think if Mendy misses again, I'll have to get rid of him. I can't have no goalkeeper for that long. But you're right. All right, Nacho, let's have a look at your team. So do you want to talk us through it?
Yes. Let's have a look. Yeah. So, I'm in a bit of a difficult situation right now. I don't have the luxury of 2 free transfers. Just for context, currently sat around 10k with this team. Obviously got Iheanacho and Fofana to play tonight. Fingers crossed I break into the top 10k, but we will see. So yeah, I'm in a similar situation. Currently have the double Mendy Forster situation, which is obviously a bit of a pain in the ass right now. Got the Phillips injury, got the Jota potential injury, and I'm having to play Vidra against a Wolves team that I do fancy keeping a clean sheet. So I really don't have a lot of hope this game week. I think, as I mentioned, I don't have the 2 free transfers, and I have about 1 million in the bank. So I actually was having the current thought of possibly just rolling my transfer. I think I was going to take the risk with Mendy, possibly just playing or not. I was going to take the risk with Phillips because I can't actually get in Trent unless I take a -4 point hit, and I don't think that's justified right now from my own kind of sanity in FPL. And after that, I'm not worried about the Otter injury. I haven't seen enough from it to really make me want to move away from him. So really, rolling the transfer seems like a logical move right now. Otherwise, it's going to be potentially getting rid of my main man, Regulion.
You can't get rid of Regulion after what?
No, he's my boy.
After you've butchered his name.
That's like you getting rid of Digne, isn't it? Really,
never happen.
I think him being moved away, and I think my target then would be more towards a double game week player. But there's no one really right now who is kind of catching my eye that I want to move in for right now. And I think having the 2 free transfers for the following game weeks will be way more beneficial for me, where I get a bit more information about who is actually going to be playing in that fixture. So I'm leaning towards a roll and almost accepting that my game week isn't necessarily going to be the best. I was very tempted by the Kane to Vardy move. Someone in the chat, sorry, I haven't got the name on here, but we have had a little chat about possibly 4 fixtures for Vardy over Kane's 2, which is really tempting, but just not seeing enough from Vardy right now to justify that price bracket. You know, he might score a hat-trick tonight and convinces me, but I just not seen enough from Vardy right now to justify me making that move.
I agree, mate. I get the Vardy move. The fixtures are there, but you're right. We do always have to remember that the form hasn't been there at all. He's getting the odd assist. He's just not. I think you need to see a little bit of form before you go for that move. I understand it, but yeah, it doesn't scream out at me.
Sorry, it's Darsha. Yes. Yeah, sorry, apologies. Yeah, Darsha mentioned that in the chat. Yeah, so yeah, what are your thoughts, mate? You got any sort of glaring errors that you think I'm missing in this team?
I think similar to me, it's the no Trent thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like you're in a better position than me. Then I feel like I would be more tempted. I feel like I'm glad I haven't got the 2 free transfers because I really don't see a way for me to go in unless I do the move that you mentioned with a -4. And I just really don't feel good about that. I really don't, at this point in the season, I really don't feel, tempted to do that move. So I'm going to hold off on the -4 to go to Trent. I just don't really like that in my gut, but I think otherwise, rolling the transfer, I could make the Mendy to Meslier move, as I mentioned, and kind of just have that stuck for the rest of the season. So that's a temptation move.
Yeah, I think if I was going to make a transfer in your team, it probably would be Regulion out. You could do like a Dallas move to make sure that if Jota does miss out, you've got him coming in. And I'm pretty sure you're going to want like Dallas for the run in. So it's not, yes, it's good to have 2 free transfers, but if you're going to bring a player like that in, you might as well do it now when you get a player like him coming off the bench. I know they've got a hard fixture, so similar to me, it's a safe and boring move, but sometimes they're the best. I'm extremely torn on because you're right. If you had 2 free transfers, I think you would be very tempted, like me, to do Fernandez to Greenwood and Phillips up to Trent, because I think we're understating how good Greenwood is and how big a factor Martial being out is right now. I do, honestly. For shots in the box, Greenwood is up there, and in that United team, he's really up there. So
I totally agree. I totally agree on that. I tell you what, in the chat, guys, let us know, plain and simple, yes or no. Would you do Fernandez to Greenwood and Phillips to Trent if you had 2 free transfers? Let us know, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who would back that up. Yeah, put yes or no. It'd be interesting to see.
Zaki saying, I can't pronounce Regulion. Yeah, I mean, I'm not being funny, lads, but neither me or Nacho can pronounce Regulion. I mean, we've gone from Regulion to Regulion, so that's progress, I think,
Yeah, we're getting closer.
All right,
Yeah, a lot of yeses as anticipated.
Yeah. And Salah captain. I mean, we should talk about the better Nacho, Iheanacho. I mean, is he a captain consideration this game?
Yeah, you can't not consider him right now. I think the way that he's playing right now, he's really the thing about Iheanacho in the past was minutes were a risk, underlying stats weren't necessarily supporting his output, but right now he really is having all them ticked right now, and he's playing against a Crystal Palace team who have conceded 4 goals against Chelsea, and bloody hell, playing against Everton and conceded expected goal of 2.53, like. Jesus Christ, I could have a back line of me, my puppy, and my partner, and we do a better performance than that. So.
Don't you even dare, Nacho. That's it.
So
I'm coming for you, mate. It's what. Yeah, but at least people know that the Everton defenders are going to start. It's not like your lot when they bloody, they're jumping in and out, left, right, and centre.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I can't even argue that, to us, which is really annoying.
You're dead. Go on.
I do like Iheanacho as a captaincy pick. I think it's fully justified. Of course, a bit more information tonight about the game. We could obviously get injured or minutes might be affected, but I really do like him right now as we speak as the captaincy option. But how can you ignore Salah at home to Newcastle? I think that's just a glaringly obvious one. I think you don't, unless you're chasing people in your mini leagues, I think you play it safe and you go for Salah.
I think if you don't have Salah, I probably would go Trent. I think I'd captain Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Totally agree on that.
The chat just saying apparently Iheanacho just missed a 1-on-1 already within the 3 minutes. So, I mean, it's not the only Nacho that's useless round here. Don't worry about that. So, yeah, it's fine. All right. Well, don't you start, Nacho. Right. Okay. So that's our teams. Should we do a Q&A for everyone?
Yes. Let's throw it in. I think there was a few questions put in earlier on, but if we don't get to them, be sure to put them in the chat now, because it's a bit easier for us to kind of pick up the newer comments. So far away, because we have already one earlier I saw from Rod D Gonzalez, what a name, who mentioned about Arsenal offensive assets. So we mentioned earlier about the FPL fan favourites. Obviously check that out, fplfan.com. Mentioned previously about Martinelli as a 0.2% ownership pick. I don't know whether necessarily he's going to be, the biggest scorer this game week, but I really do like him with the injuries to Aubameyang and Lacazette. I think he's a solid pick.
Yeah, I think he's a good shout if you need a cheap forward, isn't he? He'll get chances as well.
For sure. I think that's a good pick.
People send in your questions. What dilemmas have you got for this game week? What questions do you have? Who do you want thoughts on your moves as well?
Yeah, we got one from Darsho here who's asked the best game week to free hit.
It's tricky, this one, isn't it? I mean, it is team dependent. If you've only got 6 or 7 players, maybe 8 players this game week, I'll be very tempted to use it this game week. But I think there might actually be a bigger upside in doing it for the doubles, because we think there's going to be a double maybe in 35 with 4 teams: Aston Villa, Southampton, Palace, Everton. But don't be surprised if there's a big double. I think Ben Crellin spoke about it later in the season. I think I'd save it for that. Just go all out, go on the attack. I think I'd save it for that. What about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you really need to hold this until the information is completely clear. I think double game week 35, of course, that's a really good opportunity there. Got the blank game week in 36, which, to be honest, when you look at it, it's Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester, and Man United missing. Now, of course, we have a bit of the piece of the pie in Man United and Leicester, but not many managers are out there with triple Arsenal, triple Chelsea, or doubles. So I think you could probably run with that blank without the free hit. So I really like game week 35 as your free hit opportunity. But then otherwise, of course, if a double appears later on in the season when it's established, then that's a good opportunity there. But I would have game week 35 earmarked for sure.
Okay, questions flying in. Let's go through these. So Luke said, go on. Luke McCauley.
No, I was about to say we got one from Manhir Seth, who's asked, he's got bench boost, wildcard, and free hit still left.
Madness.
When do you play it? Wow.
That's really tricky.
That is a patient man right there who has held it that long.
Maybe free hit this week, bench boost or wildcard before, maybe the big double later in the season, and bench boost after. But that's tricky.
Yeah, I think it's very team dependent. It's quite hard for us to answer without knowing the team, but I think definitely bench boosting after your wildcard, because then you can build your wildcard team with a full 15 squad. But Yeah, and then the free hit, as we mentioned, maybe target a double. But as we mentioned, the bench boost is an excellent move for that double. So, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to read some out?
Yeah, we got one from Luke's asked, what do you think about removing Son for a double game weeker, like Greenwood, maybe even Kane to Vardy? So what's your thoughts on that, mate? 'Cause I know we spoke about Vardy very briefly.
They're very difficult, these moves. I mean, I like the Son to Greenwood move, but just like we said earlier, Son does have Sheffield United the week after this, so it's risky. Kane to Vardy, I just don't think I would, because I think you're going to want Kane back. If he's fit for the end of the season, you're going to want Kane back. I think it's just too risky right now without knowing enough information, so not that 100% on either, do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily like Kane to Vardy. I like the strategy of going for double game weekers, but don't get completely fixated with double game weeks. I think that's always a bit of a false trap sometimes.
Okay. Do you want to keep reading some out?
Yeah, but one from Marius has asked, best defenders keeping in mind the double game week and teams not blanking the following week. I have 2 transfer suggestions. So yeah, best defenders really to the back end of the season. I think, we spoke about how highly we rate Trent. I think he's an excellent move. He's probably going to be the number 1 target. I think if you do have the money in the bank to go for him, he's ticking all the boxes right now. Otherwise, I think we spoke about Dallas, haven't we, as well? I think back end of the season, he's going to really prove his worth. I like him from an attacking and defensive perspective.
I like Luke Shaw as well. I think because if Man United do have a double, I think they're reasonably solid defensively, got good attacking stats. I think Luke Shaw's good. And obviously, if you don't have the money or you just have one Liverpool midfielder, Phillips, 4 million Liverpool, seems to be starting, so not a bad option at all.
Don't mind that as well.
Okay.
We got one from Matt saying, is there any argument to free hit this week?
It is completely dependent on your team. I think if you've got 9 or 10 players, I probably wouldn't free hit because I think there's enough there. You're not going to make that big a difference. But if you have, say, 7 or 8 players and you're not that happy with your team, then maybe free hit.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Okay. So Nuclear Atom says, only the one with royalty will answer this. Peasants not allowed. Well, Nacho, you're out, mate. You might as well leave the room. Yeah, you might as well leave the county, to be honest. So he says, Dean or Coleman? Okay. See, Seamus Coleman is appealing because he came on against Tottenham and he put a fantastic ball in for Sigurdsson and he looked good. And I just have a feeling Coleman will start the next 2 or 3.
Really?
I do, but it's definitely a risk because he tends to kind of play 1 or 2 games and then gets benched. So if you've got the money, just go Luca Dean because... All right, cheers, mate. I'm trying to speak here and you're just sneezing your guts up for everyone.
Hey, you're thankful it's not a yawn.
Oh, here we go. Very good, very good. I swear you're getting funnier. I can't believe it. But yeah, go for Luca Dean because the big thing for Luca Dean is obviously got the double and Calvert-Lewin's back, which is massive for Luca Dean. So if you've got the money, go Luca Dean. FPL transfer tip says looking for a Stones replacement at 5.4 million, considering Soufal and Dallas. Well, I would go Dallas, but he would love some thoughts.
Yeah, I would definitely go Dallas as well. I think it's really important to kind of look at West Ham in general because they've actually, although they're doing really well, obviously competing for the top 4, their defensive stats have gone off a cliff recently. Like they got Dawson obviously out after the red card, Rice is still out, Antonio, don't underplay the importance he does defensively with them in terms of what he puts a shift for up at the top of the team. He doesn't allow teams to break out as easily as some of the luxury players they play in that position. They conceded 10 in the last 4 league games. So, although they're doing really well, the defense is going under the radar in terms of poor performances. So, although I like Kufal from an attacking perspective, I like Dallas as a well-rounded asset.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Nuclear.
We got one. So I was going to say Nuclear Atoms mentioned about captain Iheanacho or Trent this game week. I love Trent. I really like Trent as an option this week.
Yeah, it's very, that's really tough. Really tough. I think I would go Trent. It feels wrong, but I think I would go Trent just.
Feels wrong, but so right.
I'm not going to say anything to that comment. There's so many things I can think of. Yeah, I think I'd just go Trent. One for you. He said Nacho, pizza or a burger from Moshi. Or Moshe.
Pizza or burger? Wow, this is... What a choice. Right, so bit of a notorious burger eater, I have to say. Kind of travel around Bristol trying to eat the
Bloody,
best
you said
burgers,
I'm boring. Bloody, you're going to give them an hour on a bloody burger talk, mate.
Wait, hang on a minute. Let's just. There is no boring burger talk. Like, we need to discuss this, like a good patty in the middle. Like, it's all about the patty. Don't worry about the thrills and spills of mushroom glaze and all this outrageous toppings. Just get a nice patty, bit of lettuce, and then just enjoy that burger. Really. So I would probably say a burger, but who can beat just throwing in a pizza in the oven, 10 minutes done. So I'm gonna go burger, but oh, what a choice. Burger.
So I was just falling asleep there, Nacho. So thanks for that. That's all right, yeah. All right, yeah, I think I'll go burger. Thanks for that question. No, that's great, right? Okay, so
Right, let's try and pick up the pace because I know I'm
no, you're good. Go on.
So we got one from Alex. Kane to Vardy, is it worth it if Kane misses out Sheffield United? So I think we've kind of touched on this quite a bit. I would probably hold Kane just in the hope that, of course, he plays against Sheffield United, but I understand the reason for having Vardy over 4 fixtures.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the problem, Alex, is that it's one of them. If Kane is fit, which I have a feeling he will be, you're going to want to get him back straight away. So you're causing yourself headache. I understand it. It does make sense, but I think you're going to want Kane back, so I probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah, one from Javon that's asked. I hope it's Javon because that pronunciation is so cool. Diaz and Sonta Mitch. I'm going to guess that's Mitchell of Crystal Palace and Salah. I really like the Salah move, but you're making your team so much weaker when you're bringing Mitchell as a potential minutes risk. So I would probably stick with those two. See if you can maybe get another way of Salah in.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I think it's one of them on your team. If you've got a bench that can cope with them and player like Mitchell, fine. But especially a game week like this, he's definitely a risk. So I'm not sure I'd do it. Okay, Janine J says Son to Maddison.
Probably wouldn't make that move right now. I just really like the Sheffield United game. I understand Maddison coming in. He's real good differential, but looking at Leicester's fixture, I know they might have a double game week, which is brilliant, but I just think Son's fixtures, he's coming back from the blank with Sheffield United and Leeds, like 2 really good fixtures. So I probably wouldn't make that move unless you are looking specifically for a differential.
That's just some hilarious comments in the chat. FPL Penguin says, we want the burger talk. Nuclear Atom says, Nacho the food critic. Luke says, Rustlers in the microwave. And
my man, Luke knows.
The best question of them all, for you, Nacho, what does unicorn of a transfer mean again?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a few videos ago, wasn't it? Yeah. It'd be interesting to know if people in the chat right now know about what kind of like a unicorn phrase is. So let's spin it back a few game weeks. I mentioned about a unicorn of a transfer. And what I meant by that was basically a player that kind of just is one of a kind, does it all. And I can't remember what player we were talking about at the time, but it basically just means a player that is kind of a one-off.
It's a bit like if a unicorn of a presenter like me, better than all the others, better than his co-presenter. It's that kind of thing, isn't it, really, Nacho? So
wow, yeah. Are you going to be able to get that head through the door?
No, of course not. I'm very humble, really, don't worry.
No, he is a humble guy. I'm going to back him for that.
Okay, so we got AD says best Rafinha replacement. Now, I mean, what's the situation with Rafinha? Is he out for a while? Or let us know, because if he's not out, or if he's just missing one game, I think I'd keep, because he's a player a lot of us are going to be looking to bring in probably after this game week. So I think I'd keep.
100%. I totally agree. I think I would even be inclined to keep him even if he is injured for this Man United fixture, because we spoke about Leeds in the back end of the season. Rafinha is probably one of the best Leeds assets, and I think I would be looking to bring him in, if not sell him. So I would definitely hold unless something comes out where he's out for multiple game weeks.
Right, let's fly through these, Nacho. Wade Peter, Martinelli or Bowen?
Martinelli or Bowen. Oh, wow, that's tricky. As I mentioned, I really do like Martinelli as an option in terms of a differential. Bowen's doing well with Antonio missing. I'm just looking at the West Ham fixtures, Burnley, Everton, Brighton. I'd probably go Bowen just because I think his minutes are better, but then he does have a very common theme of getting substituted off early. So I quite like the excitement of Martinelli. So I'd probably go Martinelli just because of the thrill.
And the double game exactly. Week. Rudy is saying, is Bale worth taking in for game week 34? Now, I really like I think Bale's going to be an option again because I think Ryan Mason likes him, hasn't he? And he said I think he's going to play him. So Gareth Bale is definitely one to keep an eye for. Just see what happens in the cup final. But yeah, I think it's a good shout for that 34 if you're looking for a differential.
Yeah, I think with the interim manager coming in, I think he's in that situation where he's just kind of like no expectations. And if you're sat there right now in the change room, you're looking round with a Kane injury potentially. You're sat there with a guy who's won multiple Champions Leagues. You're going to play him, aren't you? You're sat there thinking, I want to possibly get this job. I need to play him, see what he's got. He showed what he can do. I would only really bring him in if I am really looking at a differential, to be honest with you. Otherwise, it's just a bit of a risk with the injury minutes.
I'll let you read out Nuclear Atoms' comment.
So Prince is a unicorn of an asset for the show.
So thanks, actually. That's nice of you to say that. I'm glad now people understand. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And our friend KP is in, and he's asked for you, Nacho, to answer this. Why are people loving Nacho these days? What's going on here? I've left him to do a show, and now they want you. I feel left out. All right.
So when there's an FPL meetup, we're gonna have a great fun.
We are. So he says, any tips on whether to sell any of the following: Kane, Son, or Reguilon? Even though I'm terrified of saying Reguilon now.
Yeah, I think we covered that. I suppose that's quite a bit. I think Kane, I would probably hold. Son, I think I'd probably hold unless you're looking for a differential. I think my main man, Reguilon, is going to be the one that's probably going to have to make way, just because Spurs, from a defensive perspective, really aren't showing much, although I would expect a clean sheet against Sheffield United. So totally understand if you want to hold on for him for the game week 34 fixture against Sheffield United, but he would be the one of the three that I would probably more likely have to sell.
Nice. Okay.
We got one here from Nuclear Atoms for you, mate, which is Everton's defence really trustworthy because they conceded against Crystal Meth's FC's Benteke?
Do you know what? I'll be honest. No, Everton's defence is definitely not trustworthy. Unfortunately. Yeah, I'll be honest. Mosh is very nice saying you are both unicorns. Thank you.
Well,
and then Nuclear Atoms, it's the bloody car, Prince, first the puppy and now the car. Yeah, you get your little car, you got your puppy. Oh, shocking.
I have to apologise for no car video this game week. It was just couldn't squeeze it in, but we'll be back next week for sure.
But talking of next week, it looks like unfortunately we won't be able to do. It doesn't look like a double stream for next week just because I'm going away next weekend. We might be able to do a stream on the Monday. We'll let you know if we can, but it's looking unlikely. But Nacho will be back with his car video doing a preview. Don't worry, we'll be back definitely streaming together the week after. So make sure you guys join us for that one. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for all your fantastic questions. Guys, we love your comments. You're so nice. We love coming here, chatting to you. We love talking FPL. We love talking burgers, everything, don't we, Nacho? So, give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nacho, final thoughts?
No, I appreciate all you guys jumping on. I'm going to try and get myself a burger now because that's all I can think about, really.
And just quickly, Luke saying, has the boat sailed on Lingard? No, it hasn't sailed on Lingard. You can get him still, definitely.
Yeah, still like him.
Nacho's off for a burger. He's going to walk the dog. I'm going to eat some food. Have a lovely game week, everyone. We wish you all the best, and we will see you very soon. Say goodbye, Nacho.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye.